The weather's been cooler this month. We've got in a bunch of pairings and a bunch of locks. Females have been cooling and building. Hi guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. It's been almost a month now since I did my last breeder series video, and here we are on my schedule here. We're now around January, February, and according to my schedule here, this is when the females start to get up to about 25mm follicles and start to go off food. So we are expecting to see some females that are off food. And sure enough, there has been that change in the snake room. So I just wanted to update you guys on what's going on and show you some snakes. So if we move over to the breeder female rack here, I've got two female snakes here that indeed have gone off food. They are the snakes that I borrowed from ARP constrictors for a specific project, and this spot-nosed female here has been off food for 3 weeks now. She refused yesterday for the third week in a row, and the pastel clown from ARP has been off food for 2 weeks now, and again she refused yesterday. So let's take a look at them. This snake here was the snake that featured in my last video that came flying out of the tub and tried to chase me around the room in order to be fed. I told you that the females are very enthusiastic, so I tend to open tubs with a hook just so that they don't come flying out and bite me. But I know already that these females have changed behaviour quite dramatically, so I do not need the hook. If we open up the tub, this female has not eaten for 3 weeks, and you can see her behaviour has changed completely. She's at the back of the tub, she's resting, she's not interested in food, apparently not interested in much at all. She's not very active. She's just been resting at the back of the tub. Occasionally she's been bowl wrapping, but basically just hanging out and not doing much. 3 weeks of no food, and you can see that she is still extremely large. The rear end, she has quite a significant amount of girth there, so there is no doubt that she is still building follicles. This is a good sign. And when I check my records, her last pairing, her last lock, was the 4th of January, which is only 2 weeks ago. If we take a look at the other girl, this is the pastel clown, and you can see her behaviour has also changed. She's now being very lazy, just lying at the back of the tub, again occasionally bowl wrapping, but showing no interest in food. And again you can see her girth. This girl is a massive snake, and she's got a great deal of thickness, particularly in the lower part of her body, so no doubt that she is still building. And her last lock was on the 25th of December. I am expecting that these girls will ovulate first of all in my collection sometime around February, so I'm going to take the opportunity later on today when I pair up snakes to also pair this female up and get a couple of locks in before she actually ovulates. While she is showing no interest in food, no interest in me, she's not active, she ought to still be interested in males. She will continue to lock with the males until she actually ovulates, and these are the key locks that will actually fertilize the eggs when she does ovulate. So we're going to take the opportunity later today to get her paired up again, out of schedule, and we'll see if we can't get a last lock before she ovulates. So those are two females that are now off food. Okay, so we're going to just have a poke around in a few tubs and see what else is going on in the snake room. Most of the rest of my females are still eating. They haven't reached 25mm follicles yet, but things are starting to slow down. You will notice a difference in the snakes. They're not quite so active, and you'll see that most of the tubs are actually quite clean, because as they slow down, their metabolism slows, they also poo less. So let's take a look and see what our females look at this stage in their breeding cycle. Let's take a look at the vanilla clown female. She's actually under the paper, so we can pull her out and have a look. This is a 2 and a bit year old female, and she's a first time breeder. I added her to the breeding roster a little bit later in the schedule because she is a first time breeder. And if we take a look, you can see again that she's just chilling there, but look at the enormous girth. This girl started off at around about 1600 grams at the start of the breeding season, and in just these last few months she's now over 2 kilograms, and you can see that she's building quite nicely. She has gone through that ravenous eating phase, and she's starting to slow down a little now. You can see she's hiding, more nesting type behaviour, showing no interest in moving around, and not quite so keen on food, although she is still eating. So that's one female, building quite nicely. Let's have a look at some of our other females. So this is my pied girl. She's been paired since the start of the season. Actually, she's been paired since the beginning of last season and didn't go last year. She's deep in shed, and whilst I am due to pair tonight, I'll hold off on this girl for a couple of days until she sheds. But you can see again that she's looking extremely thick. She is in shed, so she's not very active at the moment. We won't disturb her. This girl here, look at that. That is a massive build. You can see the thickness, the girth of the snake, all the way down to the rear of the snake. This girl is also still eating, but again you can see the dramatic change in behaviour. The snakes are now starting to get a little bit lazy as they start to conserve energy. They're not going to eat now for several months as the follicles grow, and so they do start to get a little bit less active and conserve energy. They're putting everything that they have into building those follicles. Here's another female. She's not quite so far on yet. Again, she's still eating. You can see that she's very, very thick, carrying weight well down into the rear of her body. She is still building. Here's a nice sign. This girl is probably the closest of my other females to actually going off food. You can see how thick she is. That's the classic bull wrap. She's still building, still cooling, and she's got a tremendous amount of size, more than enough reserves to carry her through the breeding season. She is still eating, but I'm expecting this girl will go off food fairly soon. Her follicles look to be quite large. She is carrying a lot of size. Here is another girl showing some nice thickness. This is my camo sable or super sable pinstripe. Again, not quite so far on, but you can see that she is carrying quite a bit of thickness in the lower part of her body. And notice all the tubs are quite clean. Let's have a look at some of my double het girls. Again, a little bit more lethargic than they were in their very active eating phase. These girls are starting to slow down. All their energy is going into building those follicles. This one is still hungry. She is bowl wrapping. You can see that she has peed in the tub, but the tub is not swimming wet, and I will leave that as her scent in her tub. The females are much more comfortable in their own scent, and that's her calling card to allow males to find her and mate with her. So this girl is not quite so far on, she's still building and she's still hungry. This girl is in shed. Again, you can see that she is extremely thick, and I'll wait until she sheds and then pair her up again. Just after shed, there are plenty of pheromones in the tub, and we'll pair her up when she sheds. Here is another girl building quite nicely. Again, not very active. And this girl is an interesting one. She has also been off food for 3 weeks. She hasn't eaten for 3 weeks, but she didn't lay last year until the end of May. So we're still 4 months away from her actually laying eggs, which is a little bit soon for her to be going off food. So I think what's happening here is something that I've received quite a bit of questions on, and that's reabsorption. And I think that what's happening here is this girl has gone off food because she's decided she doesn't want to breed this year. She is still bowl wrapping and cooling, but you can see that she's lost, compared to the other snakes that we've looked at today, she's lost a lot of size, she's lost a lot of thickness, and she's lost that glow. This is a sure indication that this girl is reabsorbing her follicles. And what happens when they reabsorb follicles? Before ovulation, the follicles are still in the ovaries and they're still attached and being fed from nutrients supplied by the mother. And as she builds those follicles, she draws down on her reserves and produces the follicles. But that process can also work in reverse. And if she decides for whatever reason that she's not going to breed, and remember, this snake has been in the same snake room with all the other snakes, she's been fed exactly the same way, so there's no actual reason why she may have decided to reabsorb, but it's quite obvious from looking at her that she's losing condition and she's losing weight. And the reason that she's not eating now is because she doesn't need to. She's reabsorbing those nutrients from the follicles and so has no need to eat. And it would not surprise me at all if this girl within the next couple of weeks suddenly switched back on and started eating again. And that means that she has reabsorbed, she's now hungry and she wants to eat again. So that's a sure sign, if she does start eating, that she has reabsorbed. Now, do we still have a shot at breeding this female this year? One of the reasons that I'm using this normal girl this year is for my Enchi Cyprus Ivory possible blackhead male, and he has just not been doing the business. He hasn't been locking with this female, and one of the reasons she may be reabsorbing is that she's not being serviced by a male. Is the male not servicing her because she doesn't want to breed, or is she not breeding because the male doesn't want to service her? I guess we'll never know the answer to that question. But this is not a critical pairing. The reason that I'm using this normal girl is actually to reverse engineer the genetics of the male snake, because I'm not 100% sure what he is. He is being paired to 2 other females, so if this female does not breed, it's no great loss. However, females have 2 ovaries. They are symmetrical inside, and they have 2 rows of follicles, and they grow 1 row of follicles in preference to the other. So this girl is probably reabsorbing her first set of follicles, and what sometimes can happen is that she will then in preference grow the 2nd row of follicles. And what she will do is to eat ravenously for a couple of weeks and then go through exactly the same phases of build with the 2nd row of follicles. And it's often an abbreviated build. It only takes her a couple of months rather than the 6 months that it took originally. And if you want to continue pairing the snake and she does go back onto food, you have a second shot at it. She will go through the same phases, she'll start to look thick. If you breed her to the male at that point, she may still go on and give you a clutch of eggs from that 2nd row of follicles. So all is not lost. and that's what reabsorption is. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it. This snake did breed last year, and maybe she's decided she just doesn't want to breed again this year. So I suspect that this girl is reabsorbing, and that's her first row of follicles. So I'll keep you posted on this girl. If she starts eating again, that's a sure sign that she has reabsorbed. And we have a couple more females just at the bottom here. This one is in shed. So again, she's at the back of the tub, not interested in doing a great deal. And again, she'll be paired up. Once she's shed and all those pheromones are in the tub, I'll pair her up. Now you can see that she is building, she is thick. All the females that are breeding are quite thick at the moment, which is a good sign. And another female at the bottom, you can see that she's lying uncomfortably on her side. As the follicles grow, they tend to want to readjust themselves. So this female is lying on her side. And again, you can see how thick she is. She has scented her tub. There are some urates in there which I will not clean out. That's her calling card to let males know that she's receptive. And we like that scent to permeate throughout the snake room because it helps all the other snakes with their breeding cycles too. They all can smell each other, and that's what I call the rhythm of the room. We'll have another look at one girl over here, my big Savannah female. She is still eating. She's hidden away in the back there, but you can see she's looking nice and thick. This is a really big snake. And she laid in August last year, so she still has a little bit to go as well. And I have a female here, my pastel enchy clown girl, which I don't mind showing off. Remember, this is the girl that ended up awfully thin after she laid a clutch of eggs in September last year. So you can see that she is regaining condition. She's looking very bright and she's regaining thickness. She's putting back on her size, but this girl is not yet being paired. She needs time to recover from that last clutch of eggs, and if she lays again in September, I won't need to start pairing this girl up until about March or April time to make sure that she is fully recovered. And we'll make the call as to whether we breed her this year. We'll make that call later on in the season as we see how she goes. But that's just to let you guys know that this pastel enchy clown female is doing just fine. She is eating quite well now. She fed again this Friday. She took quite a large African soft fur. So she's doing great, but not currently being paired because her schedule is a little bit later than my other snakes. I'm doing quite well in terms of males this year. They're all still eating. This is my fire clown male who is being paired again this year to several snakes. He's doing great, still eating, and he's locking every time I put him in with a female, so no worries at all about this male. Here's a slightly smaller male. This is my orange dream yellow belly, and he is going into shed, so we're going to have to wait for him before we pair him again. Typically male snakes don't want to lock when they're in shed. This guy is going into shed, so at the moment he's going to have plenty of time to rest and recover. Again, he did eat on Friday, so we'll wait for him to shed and then we can put him back onto the breeding roster. And the only male that I really was concerned about this year, about using him, we need to clean his water bowl, is this Xanthic 66% Het 4 clown male. And he started the season at about 800 grams and he's now well over a kilo. This guy has never missed a beat in terms of eating, and he's again locking quite willingly with the two double het females that I have lined up for him. So this was one that I wanted to keep a close eye on, but it's proving not to be an issue. This guy is going great guns, still eating, still putting on weight and still locking with the females. I think I need to re-record that. Okay, it's about to start raining outside, so it's a perfect opportunity to slip in these extra out of schedule pairings. This is my leopard lemon blast desert ghost male. that is going to go to the ARP constrictors. First of all, the pastel clown, because that's the one that hasn't been paired since the end of December. So we'll just open this up and you'll notice that the female is still in exactly the same position she was when we shot this morning. So we'll put the male in. Notice the tub is still clean, and we'll see what happens. I put a black and yellow clip on the tub to let me know that there is a male in with her, and we're actually going to get an extra pairing in with this Savannah female as well. We'll just take the hide out so that she can't hide from the male. So this one is being paired to my fire clown male to produce some nice hets for me. So in goes the male with her. Again, the tub is nice and clean. We'll come back in a short while and see what happens. On goes the black and yellow tag to let me know that there's a male in there. Okay, let's take a look, see what we can see in the morning. There we go. These snakes are locked up. Fantastic. So she's been off food for over 3 weeks now. Ovulation can't be too far away. And this is possibly the last critical lock before she ovulates. Nice. So that's it, guys. That's the critical pairing for the female that's off food done, and we did get a lock. This one, we don't actually have a physical lock yet, but the male is on top of the female. They're not sitting at opposite ends of the tub, so I think we will get a lock here if I leave him. He's only been in for 1 day. Guys, things are slowing down in the snake room. The females are going off food, but this is the home straight, and don't falter now. Keep pairing up those snakes and keep watching out for those ovulations. That will be the next step in my breeder series. We expect some of our females to start ovulating in the next couple of months, and hopefully I'll be able to share that with you. So don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.